everyone, it's Karen here and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a new tutorial where I'm going to be talking specifically about mica powders. I really love mica powders because they're so versatile and you can do so many things with them. The first thing I want to do is just talk about what is mica. So you can see here, this is actually mica in its raw form. And what it is like a mineral, a silicate mineral, so made out of silica, that grows basically in nature. This is something that a friend of mine sent me. She literally collected it outside her, like on a walk on her, not in her backyard, but like somewhere when she was walking along. And she sent it to me. And I've used this in many different videos. And you can go look at some of the videos where I've used this on my YouTube channel. But what's cool about it is they're sheets of thin material. And when you actually take them apart, all of them are together, but when you actually take them apart, they're kind of translucent and almost see-through. So they can be kind of brownish or just a see-through color or pearlescent. So they have a very nice shine. Mica has a really nice shimmer to it, which is great to use for any type of paint or any type of product that you mix it. What they do is they take these mica sheets and they grind them into powder, and then they stain them with a pigment, some kind of pigment or some kind of pigment that will stay on. So usually made out of iron, things like iron oxide. That's what I went to read about just to make sure that I have the right information. So some kind of strong pigment. I'm not sure if they dye them before they actually grind them into powder, or they actually first grind them into the powder and then dye the powder. That I'm not familiar with, but you can always look that up. And then they become powder. So basically you can use for so many different things. Today I want to focus specifically on mica powder and the different uses that you can do and different techniques that you can do with mica powder to use in your projects and in your mixed media. I'm specifically going to use the Finabair products just because there's so many variety of colors, but things like Pearls Effect, and there's other brands that have them and you can use those as well. But I specifically want to use these Art Ingredients mica powders. First, the original ones came like this, came in these like little pots, and they came in so many different colors, and you can see the powder there. And they work the same way as the ones here. And what I like about these is that instead of buying them individually like this, now they're in sets of 3s. So similar colors. There's so many colors, right? I have so many, only 3 here, but there's almost like 15 colors in these pots. And then there's these sets of 6 colors. So there is the bright sets, which is like almost like it's called Paradise. And then there is 2 more sets that are more like pastel looking and more and so beautiful. Especially I love like colors like teals and purples, and even there's gold as well. So I just want to kind of give you a few tips and techniques on how to use these, and I'm gonna get started on that. Before I start, I also wanted to point out that this mica, because it's in its raw form, it can only be stained with a strong pigment, something like alcohol inks, or just painted over. But because it's translucent, the alcohol inks give it the best effect. You can't just add mica on top of. So I really feel like it's easier sometimes to work with mica that is already colored and pigmented. If you want to get an idea of more or less what mica, where they use mica in art, they use it to color in paints and also to do things like spray bottles of color. So for example, a lot of the companies have powdered mica at the bottom of the bottle, and then you fill it up with water and you get the color itself, which is something like this. So lots of companies like Lindy's or Prima Marketing use mica powder to put at the bottom, and then you add the water and mix it and you get a really strong color. And they always tell you to basically shake the bottle sideways, just because the mica is a powder that can get clogged inside the tube of the spray bottle. So you want to make sure that you shake it sideways. So it's a really nice way of mixing things, but I want to show you some techniques that you can use with the mica powder. Not all sprays are mica based. Some of them are dye based. They don't have that pigment, they don't have that powder, and it's completely different. But some companies do use mica powders to add to their bottles. So the first tip that I want to show you, and this is one that is one of my favorites, and I'm going to take a little bit of a piece of paper, a white piece of paper, to show you. So the same way that you can buy the sprays already ready with the mica powder in it, you could also take these mica powders, the ones that you have here or even the ones in the pot, and create your own sprays. So I already have some sprays that I've created in the past, and you'll see them right here. These are different colors of mica powders that I have added into different bottles. This is a bottle that Prima created, and it's a great way to create your own sprays without having to buy. So the mica, as you see, goes down to the bottom, and all you have to do is just basically shake it and you get color. So I want to show you how to do that. I don't have one of these bottles, but I have another spray bottle that I have with water, and it's really easy to just create a colored spray. You need something like a little spoon. So anything, a plastic spoon or one of these like specialty spoons would work. And I'm going to work on top of a little wipe just so it doesn't make a mess, because the mica powder goes everywhere. It really gets messy. Now the nice thing about these is that they also have something you can shake them on top, but right now I just want to add it with a spoon. So I'm carefully opening it up, and you see how beautiful the color is. And I'm going to add to the bottle. Now the more mica powder you add, I mean, the more chances is that it can clog, but also the stronger the color is going to be. So you can play around with it and see how much color you need, and you can always add more. So you can start with a little bit and then add more if needed. So you see it forms a beautiful color and spray. Now mica powder tends to stain a lot, so if you want to use gloves, I do recommend it. I usually forget to do that. So you see it's becoming really, really light. It's a very light blue, so I could add more. For example, let's see about this one. Yeah, see, this one is already stronger because it has more. I can also check the gold out. See, the gold is stronger. So I can go back and add more color to it. So that works well as well. So I can really play around with how much mica there is in it. I can always also dump some in here like this. Okay. And let's see now that I had more color in it, I'm hoping it will give me a stronger effect. See, yeah, there we go. You see how it's now stronger. And it does, as I said, it gets everywhere. So you could use this instead of a spray. The only thing with mica powders is they don't have any kind of fixative in them, so you would need to spray a fixative after you work with them. So sprays are great because you can kind of cover a lot of area with the mica powders, with the sprays, but they don't have a fixative. So things like, as I said, the gold color, I could add this and just make a really beautiful background. So that's a really great way. It's one of my favorite ways to use mica powders, and I really love doing it that way. So I decided to put on gloves just because my hands were getting super stained. And I'm going to show you my second technique that I love doing with mica powders, which is mixing it with paste or any type of medium, a thicker medium, to create a really thick 3D colored paste. So for example, you could use the light paste, modeling paste, texture paste, crackle paste. You could use like heavy gesso. Anything that is thick will create a really nice thick texture. I'm going to show you two of them today, but truly anything thick can be mixed, even gel, or the possibilities are endless. Anything that is thick enough and that has a light color that you will see. Obviously black gesso will not show as much, but if you mix it with anything white, it will. So I'm first mixing paper texture And I'm just going to put a little bit. This goes a long way, and don't forget to have a really small piece of paper just to show you how well it works. So that's for the paper texture. And then I'm going to mix just regular modeling paste. And just to show you that it could be textured or it could be smooth, depending on what you're using for the mixing. So I'm going to use two different colors. I'm going to use these two colors that I have over here and just mix them with the actual paste. And then I'm going to run them through with stencils. Now you can use the sprays from before. You can also do them with stencils and spray through a stencil, and that works as well. So I'm pick this color. Doesn't really matter which color you pick. Whatever color you pick, that's what the paste color is going to be. And you can start with a little bit and see if you like the color. The more mica powder you add, the darker it's going to be, and the more color it's going to be, obviously, right? So you can start with a light color and create like a light brown, or you can go ahead and add more, and it will create a darker version of the same one. So for example, I'll start with this one. This is the textured paste. I'm just going to grab a stencil. And this one is a little bit more gritty. That's the difference between them. But they basically almost do the same thing. So this way you can add beautiful color texture to your backgrounds. Let me lift this up. And there you go. So this one has like a lot of texture to it. It's not as smooth, and it's hard to tell in the video, but trust me, it is more gritty than the one I'm going to use next. So I'm going to put this one aside so I can work with the other one now. So now I'm going to put some of this color, mix it up. And I also want to say that when you're working with mica powder, make sure that you don't inhale it. Be careful when you're splattering it on places, because it tends to get into your lungs. It's not good for you. So you have to be very careful that you don't inhale it, because it makes you cough. So look at this beautiful color. It just looks so pretty. And then I'm going to use a different stencil just to show you the difference. And this one is going to be a little bit smoother. So you can see you don't hear the grittiness when you apply it even. The other one was very loud when I was applying it because it has that really soft, that really gritty texture. And this one is basically just smoother. Okay, that's my palette knife. But you can also apply this, just to show you, with a silicone brush, for example, because I love these type of silicone brushes. So it works as well. So there we go. Now I'm going to lift it up. And you can see that the surface is a little bit smoother. But look how beautiful. You can create these amazing backgrounds for art journaling, for projects, for scrapbooking, for basically anything. So that is really good because you can do so many things with it. So besides mixing the mica powder with paste, I love mixing it also with something like gesso or some kind of gel, and that creates a paint. So that's my third technique, and I love that to do that, and I love to do that as well. I'm going to show you how to use the other powdered one. It's basically the same thing, just a different container. That's all it is. So some containers come with these sprinkling abilities, so you can sprinkle the mica, and that's easy to do. The ones in these containers have two sides, one that sprinkles the color and one that just has like an opening that is much bigger. So Some of the older mica powders don't have the sprinkling one either, but I just want to show you what you can do with these. So it doesn't really matter which powder you use. They're all the same. It's just the color that varies. And they're all very, very nice and shimmery. So I'm going to mix them with two different things just to show you how to create your own kind of paint. And I'm going to use my mat for this. You can also do it inside a container, but I've run out of containers. So I'm going to show you how to do this on a mat. So actually, first I'm going to put some of the medium on my mat. So this is heavy white gesso. You could also use regular gesso as well, like, or clear gesso will give you a good effect as well. And that's too much. I don't need to make so much paint because I just want to show you. So that's the gesso. And now I'm going to put the gel on this other side just to show you. So the difference is going to be that the white gesso is going to make things a little bit more white in consistency, while the clear gel, when it dries clear. So it gives it a more translucent effect. Now this is a soft gel. I've also used mica powder with the heavy gel or the 3D gel, and it works really nicely as well. So I am going to put some of the blue one here and then mix, and some of the orange one here and then mix. So this, you see how you can apply it two different ways? Both ways are equally good. Now I have to just mix it up. And as I said, I'm being careful just because I don't want the powder to kind of go into the air, the powder particles to go in the air. I want them to just stay on the mat itself. So you see it kind of creates a similar thing like the paste, but in this case it's a little bit just softer. So I could use it also as paint. So you could use this as a paste, or you could apply it as paint. So for example, I could just use it and, just do that and apply it. But what I really want to show you is that you can actually apply it as paint. So I can take basically a paintbrush and just paint with it. And it gives a beautiful coverage. So this is the gel. And you see how nice you can do and paint everything. So you see I made too much. I always make too much and then I end up wasting. So don't put too much on it. You can always make more, but it's hard to kind of have it. That's why a container is good. You can seal it and use it for next time as well. So that works well for that. And now I'm going to show you with the white gesso the difference between how they go. And it should be very, very similar. The only difference when you're mixing with white, as opposed to, see how here you really get the mica color because the actual gel is basically clear, translucent. While here, when I'm mixing it with white, I get more of a white effect. So this is why I said you can also mix it with some clear gesso, and then you will get maybe a better result. You won't get as a whitish background as you are getting with what I'm getting now. But you see, as I added more, it became more orangey. So the same thing I could apply like this. But the nice thing that I want to show you again is how to paint with it. So I'll grab a different paintbrush, and you see what I mean? You can create your own paint. So it's really a great technique to do. And they're so versatile. So I really like that because of that. And it could be any color. So this is what I mean. Like, you don't have to be limited to, the paints that are out there. You can make your own paints, your own sprays, your own everything. That's why I meant about how versatile mica powders are. The fourth technique that I love using is creating watercolors. And you can use mica powder to create a watercolor effect in your background. And it's really easy to do. And I did find another container, so I'm going to show you. I'm basically adding some powder And then I'm going to add a little bit of water. So I'm just going to open my bottle here and just add water. And it creates kind of like your own watercolor effect. Obviously, it's not exactly like watercolors, but it does give you that effect if you want to. And you can make it again with so many different colors as well. So I'm just going to mix the powder. And the nice thing about it is that the watercolors will be shimmery because the mica is shimmery. So then you can just, you know what I mean? Just create a watercolor effect with it as well. So there's so many things that you can do with it. Now I did another one a few days ago and it actually dried out. The water dried up, but I wonder if I actually leave it like this and let it dry like regular watercolors and then add water again, will it reconstitute itself with the water? So I'm going to test that now as I'm doing this video. And then I'm going to mix it. And it should reactivate the mica. Let's see. Yeah, and it creates the color again. So this was mica that I put and created watercolor a few days ago. And then the water dried up, obviously. And I just reconstituted it. And look at this. You can use it to paint again. So I love this technique as well because you can really create beautiful backgrounds and use it as almost as watercolors, or use it as watercolor instead of watercolor. So that's another great technique that I love doing with mica powders as well. The last technique, and technically this could have been also the first technique because it's a very simple one, is to use this just as the powder intended it to be. So I'm going to open this from the powdered area, the wire where I can kind of sprinkle things. And you can sprinkle a little bit on the background and then use a little bit of water to kind of create the effect that you want in the background. So it's kind of like making watercolor, but the difference is that in this case, you can really get that powdery effect in the background as well. And it won't be as even as when you're mixing it. So I really like doing this when you want kind of a distressed look. So I want to show you, I'm going to put the yellow one as well. And you don't need to put a lot. So it gives it that shimmery effect. Hold on, let me just put a little bit more. So you can mix, oops, that's too much. You can mix the colors. You can also first like kind of wet the background and then sprinkle things. So for example, let me show you what I mean. So this is like a good way of creating like easy backgrounds, but I want to show you a different way. So for example, I have this paper here, and let's say you wet it first, and then when you sprinkle, it kind of creates a really cool, interesting effect of a background. And you can still obviously mix it and so forth, but you can kind of mix the colors and it will create a more of a powdery effect or something like that. And you just let it mix. You kind of play around with it. You can add more water, or you can just mix the whole thing if you don't want those pieces to be. Once you dry it up, it will dry in that way. So you'll get those powdered effects, more distressed, as opposed to a smooth effect that you got with the watercolor that I did before. So those are the 5 techniques that I wanted to show you with the mica powders. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it helped you understand a little bit more about mica powders and what they do. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends on social media. For more inspiration, subscribe to my channel and visit me on my website. Thank you so much and have an amazing day. Bye!